actually, that part isn't quite true. The chip T company, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, is in the north, but the biggest port in terms of fuel and goods is Kaohsiung in the south. After considering the Chinese options, which we do in the article, whether they should strike in the north and try and decapitate the capital, uh, or go through the softer middle, which would be more conducive to amphibious invasion, or to just cut off and occupy the southern port and its immediate surrounding region and hold on to that without doing anything more for a while. That by itself would strangle Taiwan within time, not that long even, and their government would not be able to retake it. The United States would probably not be in physically invading to retake a major Taiwanese city, and just destroying it from a distance would be also probably anathema to the allies opposing China's intervention. So that was my conclusion after looking at their other options. Given if this occurs during the time period we're thinking, which is basically over until the end of 28 or maybe going into 29 a bit, depending on circumstances in the United States, or Xi Jinping's sense of destiny, which he clearly feels he has, and patience. Um, in the meantime, of course, over the next year, they will be continuing to build up their resources. But it does seem difficult to land sufficient men if you tax several beaches or many places all at once. You have to grab something, make it safe, get your supplies in, and expand from there. They
You
could
could do
blow
that best by grabbing the main port.
the south and the surrounding region. It'd be very
Right.
difficult to attack, and they could concentrate.
Yeah.
One of the points that really struck me about your article on it was the third article in the series, and I think it's called "Attacking Taiwan." I might be mistaken on the name, but one of the key takeaway from that article was that you know for China really to take Taiwan by force in a kinetic invasion, they need to get a lot of boots on the ground. I mean, they need to get between 75 and 100,000 guys on the ground, like land them amphibiously on beaches within the first week, or they're not going to be able to take the island. But your conclusion was they don't yet have enough transport vessels to be able to do that, to be able to land sufficient troops on a tight timetable under a barrage of Taiwanese missiles and artillery that are going to be nailing these Chinese soldiers landing on the beachheads. They're not ready yet. You think they need another 2 to 4 years to build enough transport vessels.
Well, even that might be a little difficult. Remember that getting, I think the article concluded that the very first wave, if they were lucky and if the United States wasn't involved, firing anti-ship missiles from, heavy bombers from the distance, for instance, the invasion might get about 20,000 troops, trained troops, admittedly, in the first wave, but then they would have to keep their beachhead, which in the article we talked about was premised at surrounding and taking the port and the area around it, the beaches around it, which
Kaohsiung.
Kaohsiung in the south, and 20,000 probably would not do it, and even they would need the port facilities to be working to really flow in numbers of troops and armored vehicles to continue their success if they had made a lodgment there. That would take at least a couple of weeks. And once again, this has to go quickly. It can't proceed for months, as some war games and other thinkers have projected.
Hmm.
Right, because the longer Taiwan holds out and the more damage they inflict on a Chinese mainland invasion force, the more likely it is that the US and Japan and South Korea and Australia and the Philippines, right, this whole Pacific alliance uh, led by the United States, is going to respond with military force and say, hey, look, the Taiwanese are hanging tough like the Ukrainians. They've got some guts. They're inflicting a lot of damage on the mainland forces. The mainland forces, they can't take over the whole island. You know, it's the geography of Taiwan is very tough. It's like this
Right.
spiny thing. It's this spocky, it's like it's got this ridge of high, sharp mountains running through the middle of it and very little flat land. You know, Taiwan is built like a hedgehog, right? You and I have talked before about the dragon versus the hedgehog, right? The people
Actually,
say
I
Republic,
didn't think of that, but it is built like a hedgehog.
right?
Taiwan is built like a hedgehog with this spine of sharp mountains, the sharp mountain range cutting through the middle of it and taking up like two-thirds of the land. And and then it's got this hedgehog strategy of you know, building up missiles and missile defenses like the Aegis defense system. So on one hand, you've got China that's like a dragon, this big, threatening, fire-breathing, huge monster fighting against this little hedgehog that's like a porcupine, right? Maybe they call it the porcupine strategy, not the hedgehog strategy. But Taiwan is like a hedgehog uh, taking a porcupine strategy. But if that strategy works and they're able to hold out for a month or two, then you know, that would embolden the Pacific Alliance to move in and engage in a naval contest with naval forces that part of the South China Sea and try to relieve the pressure on the Taiwanese by directly engaging with Chinese naval forces, which is going to be the topic of your next article, which we're very excited about.